let's get right to the point. The point of this is not for you to see me, it's for you to get a reading. So, I'm super bummy right now, so we're just going to do that. What's up, Scorpio? This is Madam X with Frequency Real Radio, and let's talk about what's going on for mid June. So, I'm not going to make these readings super long. We're just going to jump right into it. I mean, if you need a long drawn out readings, general readings, to me can be pointless and a whole bunch of confusion. So if you need something specifically for you, then you want to email me, hit me up at tarothelpnow@gmail.com. It will be in the opening credits of the video. If you want to email me for a longer personal reading, we can talk about that. But in this one, it's going to be short to the point about what's going on with you, Scorpio. So, before I get into the Scorpio reading, I did want to say that I was going to make a video, and it's appropriate to mention it in the Scorpio video. And I may still do the video after the fact, even though the whole thing has died down, but just to kind of go back and look at what was going on astrologically at the time, because I found it very, very interesting. And I should have hopped on it like when it seriously first happened. But I didn't realize that the full moon on May the 29th was happening. The sun and the moon were sitting on Aldebaran and Anteres. So I should have did it then, because that's when that whole Drake and Pusha T beef happened. So if you guys listen to hip hop, if you listen to rap or hip hop culture, then you know that Drake a Scorpio and Pusha T the Taurus were having this back and forth beef. But the thing that was so interesting, and you guys know I'll do videos on interesting couples or anything, things that go on in popular culture as it relates to the zodiac signs. And I was traveling, and then it was more to it than just he's a Scorpio and Drake's a Scorpio and Pusha T is a Taurus. It was more to it, and I didn't get a chance to make the video. But what was so interesting, and I'll just mention this tidbit, and then we'll jump into your reading, or you can fast forward past it, is the fact that Drake got in a beef with Meek Mill with Meek Mill a few years ago, and Meek Mill is a Taurus. And Drake pretty much demolished Meek Mill. He didn't kill his career or anything like that, because the songs Drake made weren't like battle rap songs. He didn't really go hard at Meek Mill. But he did pretty much in whatever little beef that they had, that at least from the public's perception, Meek Mill kind of started, talking about Drake not writing his rhymes. In the end of that whole scenario, Drake won that beef, and he really did kind of put a little dent in Meek Mill's career. But Meek Mill isn't done. He's making his comeback now. So that Taurus did not win between the Taurus and the Scorpio. But when Drake had a beefed, this just happened last week, the week before, when he was beefing with Pusha T, who is also a Taurus. I think astrology, if you look to astrology, you can see it a lot of the reasons why this beef did not play out like his beef with Meek Mill did. And what I believe truly really helped Pusha T put a chink in Drake's armor. I mean, for anybody that listens to Drake, he's pretty much crossover, universal, like no matter if you're white, you're black, you're a woman, or you're a guy, we like Drake. He makes good music. He's a Scorpio. He puts his emotions into his music. He knows how to emotionally appeal to people over that music and over those beats and things like that. No matter who writes his rhymes or who doesn't, Drake just brings something. And Scorpios are good. They make when they do music or they do something like that, they usually do it pretty well. I mean, Future's a Scorpio too, and he makes dope music, and Future and Drake make dope music together. But everybody likes Drake, so he's one of those people. And then him being half black, half white, like he has the white audience, he has the black audience. So it's like he's in black culture, so he's in rap and hip hop, but he's also got a foot in crossover culture as well. So it's really hard to bring an artist like that down. I mean, if for any reason you want to bring them down, or you feel like they have a reign on top that you want to end, or they're getting all of the money, publicity, whatever the case, it's hard to bring an artist like that down, because they have so much crossover appeal. So it's not just one community of people that like them. It's several communities and genres who like this artist and that this artist fits into. So it was really hard for somebody to come at Drake. I mean, there's been people who tried to battle Drake, Meek Mill, Joe Budden, and there's been a few other people who have kind of taken their shots at Drake and none really successful. But the Pusha T and the Drake beef kind of goes back, and it's not really from what I recall, because I follow. I mean, I'm not a fan of anybody, but Clips was music that I would download, play, purchase, whatever you want to call it. Like, how you can tell if I really like somebody's music is if I download your song. I really like your stuff if I download your whole album, but if I take my money and I buy it, then I truly support you as an artist. So the Clips were those artists. Out of the two, out of Malice and Pusha T, his brother is now going by No Malice. I liked Pusha T better. I'm a Cancer. I don't know, something. Pusha T is a Taurus. The energy kind of flows, so it's just something that led me to Pusha T more than his brother. But both of them are really good rappers, so I followed that wave for a long time. And like I said, I like Drake. So the reason, and Pusha T is not as big as an artist right now currently, because it's like in popular culture, you're only as good as your last hit. You know what I mean? Pusha T, people who are into rap and hip hop, like people who are truly into that, are gonna rate Pusha T higher than a Drake, because a lot of people don't consider Drake real hip hop. So, but in popular culture, of course, you've never even heard of Pusha T, people are gonna rate Drake higher. So it's not like Pusha T had the popularity to put that chink in Drake's armor like he did. Meek Mill was popping at the time, and Meek Mill couldn't do it. But the reason why Pusha T was able to basically, now he has not destroyed Drake's career. It's going to take a lot more hits, a bigger conglomerate. It's going to take a conglomerate, especially because Drake has Jay Prince, the Pisces, backing him. Two water signs, go figure. But and I think Jay Prince's son, not Jazz Prince, the one that discovered Drake. I don't follow Jazz Prince, but I follow Jay Prince Jr. I believe his son is a Pisces as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Jay Prince is a Pisces. I know his son Jay Prince Jr. is one, but I think Jay Prince is a Pisces too. But in any case, so it's going to take a conglomerate, which this is Scorpio's reading, so I'm not going to get all into it. But of course, that Pusha T thing was backed by Kanye, Jay-Z. I mean, there's a lot of subliminals. There's a lot of things that was pushing that Pusha T thing that allowed for him to go at a big artist like Drake like that. So the reason why Pusha T had a ground to stand on this time, and like I said, Drake isn't done, but as far as that battle goes, Pusha T basically destroyed Drake in this battle that really was only like two songs against two songs. Some of the songs are old. The beef is old. I really don't think it's a personal Drake beef. I think it's more of a Cash Money baby beef. Lil Wayne's a Libra, and I don't think anybody who grew up in hip hop in the 90s likes to see Lil Wayne still have to work so hard for his money. You would think Lil Wayne would like really be running Young Money, and he would be on the same status. I mean, people who listen to these guys, I mean, taking it all the way back to the Hot Boys before Lil Wayne even blew on his own, back when Juvenile, Turk, and BG were on Cash Money. If you've been following Wayne for that long and you know how much he's moved the culture, whether you like Lil Wayne a lot, it's a lot of things Lil Wayne does in his music or says in his interviews personally that I do not like, but there's no way I can deny that Lil Wayne is an extremely talented rapper and a wordsmith. Libras are some of my favorite musicians. My favorite musicians, of course, the Venus signs fall in there. Taurus, Libra, Venus is exalted, and Pisces. And who else is another Geminis? Of course, and you can probably add Virgos in there too. So the Venus signs where Venus is exalted, and the two Mercury signs, Gemini and Virgo. And Virgos, I cannot put them as my favorite. Virgos don't tend to be my personal favorite artist, but as far as a world appeal goes, when you look at the likes of Michael Jackson or Beyonce, they tend to be very, very talented. I mean, they're ruled by Mercury. We all know Virgo is very analytical, so their shit is going to be together and perfect. And that's what you see, and that's why they reach such high levels. But Virgo isn't my personal artist favorite. My favorite musicians are Geminis, the two Venus signs, Libra and Taurus, and then Pisces, where Venus is exalted. They tend to make the best music. Gemini maybe the most out of them all. I don't know. It just depends on what you listen to. So Pusha T, the reason why he was able to get this defeat against Drake is because his album came out on, it was around May the 26th or the 25th. I know the full moon was on May the 29th, so that was about tomorrow. That'll be 2 weeks ago, I believe. So the full moon was on May the 29th. Pusha T's Daytona came out either that Thursday, earlier that previous week. The diss song and the song that they were talking about, Drake's song, and it's been a couple weeks and I never made a video, so I may be a little off on the timeline, but this is basically what happened. Pusha T's album came out. He had the song Infrared, where he's kind of going at, I mean, they've been taking shots at that Cash Money camp for a long time, and it's deeper than Drake. It's more about the labels, the camps that they roll with. So they've been taking little shots for years, and they said Drake came back on two birds with one stone, and now Pusha T comes out with Daytona. Well, when Pusha T came out with Daytona, he may have come out with Daytona, the album, earlier in the week, like say maybe Monday or Tuesday. So I think around that same time, it was sometime in those first few days, early that week, Drake came out with the Duppy freestyle, Duppy quote unquote freestyle, which was a diss against Pusha T, Kanye West, the Good Music label, that kind of thing. And Drake's response was kind of softcore. It was kind of child's play, emotional riddle rap, like Drake's stuff usually is. Feel good beef diss. You know what I mean? It wasn't battle rap diss. But somebody should have told Drake, and this is why people, my goal is to be astrologer to the stars, to consult people, and not even the stars, people in very high places and important positions. Because had Drake consulted someone and had somebody look at his chart before he got to beefing, or he made a song, he was so quick to put out a diss song about Pusha T. If somebody had looked at his chart, they would have told him that there's going to be a full moon on the 29th. And the full moon is when the sun is exactly opposite the moon. When the moon is exactly opposite the sun, that is what creates a full moon. Well, on this particular, so it was a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. The sun's in Gemini. If the moon is completely opposite the sun to create a full moon, then of course the moon was in Sagittarius. So it was a Sagittarius full moon, which is nothing special. There's a Sagittarius full moon every year. But this particular full moon happened on the degrees where Anteres and Aldebaran, and if I did the research like a week or so ago, I believe if I'm not mistaken, because I'm not looking at anything, you see me talking. Anteres is in the Scorpio in the heart. I think it's in the heart of the Scorpion, something like that. It's one of the four most powerful fixed stars. There are four royal fixed stars: Fomalhaut, Regulus, Anteres, and Aldebaran. So if you study astrology and you go have somebody that looks at your chart a little deeper, they would pull in these fixed stars, because if you have important planets that are really close and conjunct these fixed stars, that could really mean, that's going to give a lot of meaning, and it's going to change your chart in some way. It's going to add a whole another element to your life and to your chart. And to me, it's more like fated events, fated things. I know we talk about this whole free will in astrology, but it's very fated. So if I'm not mistaken, like I said, it could be the other way around. The one I'm saying is in Scorpio, is in Taurus, but I believe I've got it absolutely correct. So Anteres is in the Scorpio constellation. So it's the Scorpio fixed star in the heart of the Scorpion. Powerful, powerful battle star, warlike star. The opposite again, it was so many facets for me to talk about, and I didn't have time to do a long video. I just got back in town. I was out of town traveling for business, so all last week. So I did not. All this stuff was going on as I was prepared to get out of town, and then I had a really busy week out of town, so I couldn't make the video. But on top of the fact that Scorpio and Taurus are already opposites, so that's already gonna be some antagonism there. And if you guys listen to my video, I always say you either hate or you love your opposite sign. To me, a lot of times it's just how it works. Me personally, I meet a lot of Capricorns. I tend to love them. We tend to get along pretty damn well because I know what it is. I know what to respect and what to leave alone, what not to pick with a Capricorn, because it's my opposite sign and I'm very familiar with Capricorn. But Taurus and Scorpio, opposite signs. So it's like you're either going to love them or you're going to hate them. And I know a lot of Taurus and Scorpios that get along, but when they don't get along, it's like when it's bad, it's bad. So you're starting out Taurus. Pusha T is a Taurus, Drake is a Scorpio. Meek Mill was a Taurus. Already bad energy if they're going to get into it. It's oppositions. I'm your opponent. This is a challenge. I'm standing across from you. Let's duel. Let's fight. So that's already the energy you have going with these opposite signs. Then you add in the fact that Pusha T dropped this album or this diss song. He dropped the album earlier the previous week, but the diss song, if I'm not, he may have dropped the album the end of the week. And then Drake came out with his diss within 1 or 2 days. It was by Saturday, I want to say. And then I think on Tuesday, the 29th, if I'm not mistaken, is when Pusha T's response that annihilated Drake to 99% of people came out. So that's crazy. You have these two opposite signs. You have Drake, this sort of Anteres warrior, and then you have Pusha T, this Aldebaran warrior, and they're going straight up at each other. And these are warrior stars. These are stars that rule over fights and battles. And the funny thing, you may have, there's a few astrologers out here that made videos about this. The only one I saw was Joni Patry, and she always has some interesting stuff. Even though she's Vedic and I do Western, I say what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. All of this shit is really the same when you look at it. Energy is energy. Semantics are semantics. Technicalities are technicalities. So she had a really good video, and I was like, wow, if that's what's going on this full moon, that is what is going on with this beef between Drake and Pusha T. I mean, you can almost look at them as this fixed star. Like, I'm looking at Drake as Anteres, and I'm looking at Pusha T as Aldebaran, and they're these stars that's going at it. They're going at it. It's really about to be a war. And when Pusha T came out with that song, these two stars, and one thing Joni said in her video was, there's stars where somebody is going to be defeated. It's not going to be like not clear who won the battle. It's not going to be where both come out a little scratched but mostly unscathed. No, it is a war, it is a fight, it is a battle. And if you heard Pusha T's song, it made Drake's Duppy freestyle sound like child's play. And I like Drake, so I have no... Drake's a Scorpio, I'm a Cancer. I feel his music on an emotional level. You know what I mean? So I like Drake. I had nothing, I like Pusha T because I'm into hip hop. I grew up with a lot of men, a lot of guys. So I like real hip hop and I like real rap. So Pusha T holds a certain clout in my eyes. He holds a certain respect in my eyes that I don't hold Drake to. Drake does make good music and I respect him for that. So I'm not saying I don't wait, my battery's low. So I'm not saying, my phone's about to die, I got to get to this reading. I'm not saying I don't respect Drake. I just respect them for two different things. I respect Pusha T for being a lyricist and from that true hip hop genre, and Drake for just making good music, no matter what you want to call it. Hip hop, I don't care. He just makes good music. So if someone had advised Drake that Pusha T's chart is making more favorable, so those stars now, they've moved into the Gemini and the Taurus constellation. So that's why it would not Gemini and Taurus, Gemini and Sagittarius. So even though it's a Scorpio star and a Taurus star, it's, you know, it moves in the sky. So now they're sitting in the Gemini and the Sagittarius constellation. So with the sun in Gemini, so that Taurus star, which I believe was the Aldebaran, moved into Gemini, and that Scorpio star, which is the Anteres, moved into Sagittarius. So that's why they were relevant on May the 29th, because that is this constellation, the zodiac, that these stars were in when we had this full moon. Full moon brings things into fruition. Full moon brings things that's bubbling up to the surface. And if the Drake and Pusha T situation is not a good example of that, then I don't know what is. Let me plug my charger in, because I'm going to be pissed if my phone dies. If the Drake and Pusha T scenario isn't a perfect example of how astrology is life, if when I looked at the charts, because I said, okay, I don't want to just hop on video and talk about it, let me actually look at the chart and see, did Pusha T's and Drake's chart, because as soon as I heard Pusha T's song, I didn't care what Drake came back with. Pusha T's song, almost every word and every line had an innuendo. It was referencing something that either, if you follow the culture, you would pick up on it, or something between only their two camps know. Pusha T's song was a magician's riddle. You might have listened to it and just thought they were lines and just thought they were a song, but it's like every line of that song is a double entendre. Like, it means more than one thing. He's got like punchlines within punchlines. And if you pay attention, see, I have Mercury in the first house. I'm a Cancer sun, but my Mercury is in the first house. So that emotional shit doesn't work with me. Things have to be logical as well. Very logical with Mercury in my first house. So you can say I'm a little bit like a Gemini sun, damn near, or Gemini first house with that Mercury there. So when you start listening to things, my mind picks apart everything somebody says. So to listen to that Pusha T song, I said, woo, somebody should have looked at their astrology charts and saw what I saw. Now, like I said, I've been pressed for time and I've been traveling, so I didn't go into it, and I tried to look at that before I left because I thought I was going to make the video. And actually, I did make the video mentioning that, but I hadn't pulled the charts, and I didn't post a video because it was all over the place, and I really wanted to take a really good organized look at this warrior star, this battle that happened on the full moon of these warrior stars. So when I looked at their charts, Pusha T's chart had more favorable aspects to Anteres and Aldebaran. Drake's chart was making more squares and oppositions to those stars than Pusha T's was. And I believe, okay, so Pusha T's, even though the stars in Gemini, the Aldebaran star, and if I'm wrong, guys, it's just the other way around, but I believe I'm right from what I remember. The Aldebaran star in Taurus, which would have been Pusha T's like star, he's that warrior, that's who he is. He had more favorable aspects with that, and he had more favorable aspects with that in his chart. And oh, I'm just reading comments that somebody's posting. So on Instagram. Anyway, so he had more favorable aspects to both of those than Drake did, and it definitely looked like things were going to be a little harder for Drake. If I had to pick a winner, and I wish I would have did it, I'm learning that my thing is more so predictive astrology and predictive tarot, but I try to be really careful with those things because I really believe your life, other people's lives are in your hands when you're talking about prediction and really trying to help people with their future. So that's not stuff that I offer to everybody and that I'll sit with anybody and do a reading or talk to them about. But if I had to predict it, which I wish I did before Pusha T dropped his song on Tuesday, if I had to predict it, I would have picked the winner of that battle. If nothing to do with their skills or what I know of them personally, I would have picked Pusha T because of all that was going on. So guys, that was so interesting. The opposite signs, the Taurus and the Scorpio battling, their royal stars that they represent. It also was a battle of that with those two battling, and they're also opposite signs, the Taurus and the Scorpio. So I just found it was just so. I love astrology. I love doing this. It's life. Anyway, so with all of that said, Scorpio, I was gonna mention it for like